Ready to save money and get free stuff? Today we're talking about new ways to get help with your bills. States that are sending out cash payments, tons of giveaways, and even a cool new program that's getting rich people to donate to poor people. And when we're done with all of that, I'm going to tell you about the insane thing I did this week that could change so many lives. So let's start with some practical ways to cut back on your bills like rent, internet, and even groceries. Rent is everyone's biggest expense right now. So I'm excited to tell you that Congress is considering a new proposal called the Rent Relief Act. If this passes, the government will send monthly checks to people who are spending more than 30% of their income on housing costs, as long as your household earns less than $100,000 a year. They'll do this by creating a new tax credit program that will be paid out monthly, similar to how the child tax credit was handled during the pandemic. If you would like to see this happen, please reach out to your congressional representatives and tell them to support the Rent Relief Act. Now, there are rent relief programs in many states already that can help you, but as you're looking into those, you need to be careful. The Nebraska Investment Finance Authority is warning people to watch out for scams after people started reporting scammy social media posts this week. And if it's happening in Nebraska, you can just about guarantee it's happening in other states as well. You can find reliable rental assistance programs at lowincomerelief.com/rent-relief. Internet access is essential these days, so almost every single state is currently considering a rule that would force ISPs to lower their prices for low-income customers. Most states are aiming to cap the price at around $30 a month, but some states are lower and others are higher. Washington State is recommending around $25 a month, and other states have set their limits as high as $75. According to Route 50, there are only 5 states that have not proposed a limit. This is really exciting because when you put the $30 ACP subsidy on a plan that only costs $30, you end up with free internet. As long as Congress continues funding that ACP program, this could guarantee free internet access for low-income Americans in most states. Now, another major expense that is breaking everyone's budget right now is the cost of groceries. They are crazy expensive. So a lot of states are stepping up with proposals to help that as well. In New Jersey, lawmakers are proposing a new law that would force stores to make coupons more accessible. A lot of stores are moving to digital coupons, and they're really popular right now. But some stores make it really difficult. They require their shoppers to follow a long and complicated process in order to redeem those coupons. And this can be really difficult, especially for people who don't have smartphones or don't have enough data or reliable data or who don't use the technology that much. As a result, the New Jersey Assembly is considering a rule that would require those stores to offer the same discounts to people who don't use digital coupons. A lot of stores are pushing back on this and saying it would be too hard, but we'll see what happens. In the meantime, some states are rolling back grocery taxes as well. Kansas is cutting their grocery tax in half on January 1st, and South Dakota's government is facing a lot of pressure to do the same thing, but no progress has been announced in that state yet. And while that's helpful, I know that the solution you really need is more cash in your pocket. So let's talk about some ways that you can get some extra money. Of course, the easiest way is to claim your share of open class action settlements. We are going to hit a few important deadlines this week, so please make sure to file your claims if you've bought Woolite laundry detergent, discounted items from Ashley Furniture, or if your data was exposed by the Magellan, Metromile, or HealthNet data breaches. Now, I know that I talk to you about these all of the time, but I also want to take a minute to tell you about some tort cases really quick. Now, the difference here is that with a class action settlement, a whole bunch of people come together and they sue together and they share the money from that settlement. In a tort case, it's one person suing and keeping that money for themselves. You can usually get a lot more money from tort cases. There are currently 18 active cases right now, and you can get a free claim review from my new sponsor if you are interested in seeing if you're eligible for any of that money. Their active cases cover all sorts of things, including dangerous and defective products, toxic substance exposure, defective medical devices like CPAPs, hernia mesh, and even Ozempic. They can also help you appeal a disability claim with Social Security or the VA. You can check on those and get started at lowincomerelief.com/claims. Now, I have great news for families in Michigan. The Working Families Tax Credit Program is going into effect, and the state is going to start cutting checks in mid-February. The average check will be worth $550, but some families could receive up to $2,080 depending on their income and household size. This first round of checks is intended to cover 2022, so last year's taxes. You can also claim this credit on this year's taxes, which means you could get an extra $2,229 from this program when you file your 2023 taxes. This is a lot of money going out to low-income families in Michigan, and I'm really excited about it. Now, in Missouri and Nebraska, these states are going to make Social Security benefits tax exempt starting January 1st so that you can keep more of those benefits. That's great as well. And of course, if you're a parent in Idaho, don't forget to check out the Empowering Parents Grant and the Idaho Launch Grant that I've been telling you about. Those applications are still open, and there are thousands of dollars available here, so you need to make sure that you apply for those right away. And now let's talk about this new gifted savings program I found, because this is really cool and honestly a little weird. This new startup is convincing wealthy donors to share their wealth with low-income people. Through this program, they're initially going to pick 20 people who will receive a $2,000 investment account from a wealthy donor. If you're chosen, you have to hold on to that account for 2 years, but you can watch the investment grow and change over time. You can only withdraw up to $500 a year for the first 2 years, but after that, the money is yours to do whatever you want. This program is starting in Yellow Springs, Ohio, but it will be interesting to see if it expands to other areas. It's a different model than I've seen anywhere else. Okay, so this next bit is a mixed bag of good and bad news. But in the end, I'm going to share a big announcement, and I kind of need your help with it, so I hope you'll stick around. Now, have you noticed that healthcare is completely broken in this country? It's pretty bad. A few weeks ago, I told you about how Peace Health in Washington has to return $13 million to low-income patients that should have received financial assistance with their bills. This hospital system harassed and aggressively collected this money from people who should not have had to pay it. Well, they're not the only ones. Sky Lakes Medical Center in Oregon has been sued for the same thing. This hospital allegedly refused to even tell people about charity care unless they were specifically asked about it directly. As a result, a lot of people paid a lot more than they should have. And it's not just in the Northwest either. This is a problem that is popping up all over the country. And fortunately, people are starting to do something about it. In Illinois, a new law will require hospitals to determine whether or not a patient is eligible for financial assistance before they send that bill to collections. Hospitals also have to give patients more time before they pursue collections. This change will happen in the middle of next year. Now, in Minnesota, hospitals also have to be required will also be required to screen patients for charity care assistance before sending those debts to collections. And in New York, the governor just signed a new law that will prevent medical debt from showing up on people's credit reports at all. Hospitals and healthcare providers will not be allowed to report that information to credit bureaus, and credit bureaus will not be allowed to report it even if they find out in some other way. However, this does not apply to medical care received out of the state, and it also doesn't apply to other forms of debt you may have acquired to pay your medical debt. So the medical debt won't be reported, but if you pay it with a credit card and then the credit card is late, then that would be reported. Now, earlier this year, the 3 major credit reporting agencies agreed to stop reporting medical debt under $500 as well. That helps everyone, no matter what state you live in. It also looks like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is looking into creating some new rules that would ensure all hospitals have to check for financial assistance before sending bills to collections. Of course, that's all great, but it all helps with future medical debts. So what about the medical debt that already exists? Well, a few days ago, I told you how debt collection companies scoop up medical debt for pennies on the dollar. I think the statistic is it's usually like 4 cents on the dollar. It's ridiculous. Well, RIP Medical Debt does that too. But instead of coming after you for the money you owe, RIP forgives it. Seriously, that's all they do. They buy medical debt and then they forget it. They forgive it and forget it, and they never have to worry about it again. Now, they only buy debt that is owed by low-income people who earn 400% or less of the federal poverty level, or who owe more than 5% of their annual income toward the debt. This organization has forgiven over $10 billion in medical debt for over 7 million Americans since 2014. Now, a lot of states and nonprofits are starting to partner with RIP medical debt because of this. They have an incredible success rate, and for every dollar that they receive, they can buy and forgive $100 in medical debt. That's why St. Paul, Minnesota has set aside $1 million to forgive medical debt for low-income people in their area. In Tennessee, Mincy Law is raising $10,000 to wipe out medical debt for people there. And with your help, I'm hoping to raise $50,000 to forgive $5 million in medical debt nationwide. Now, I know that's a big ask. This channel exists to help people who are already struggling financially, and I do not want you to feel pressured if you can't do this. I get it. But if everyone who subscribes to this channel donated $1, we could wipe out $14 million in medical debt for low-income Americans. That would bless so many lives, maybe even for some of you watching this video right now. Now, if you can and you want to donate, please go to lowincomerelief.com/RIP to make your contribution. And if you can't, totally fine. Don't even worry about it. But if you can, share this link with others, because the more we spread the word, the more change we'll be able to create and the more relief we'll be able to provide. So I'm very excited about this, but we are not done with our video today. We have a lot more to cover, including some government program updates and some amazing giveaways. So let's continue with some shocking news from the Department of Veterans Affairs this week. They lost more than 120,000 claims that were filed online. Apparently, there was a technical glitch that caused some files to be misdirected. About 81,000 of those claims were for dependency, which means the veteran was adding someone to their household, like a child or a new spouse. Anyway, about 81,000 of those claims were misplaced. That's the bad news. The good news is that they were found, or at least they seem to have been located, and if they are approved, the affected veterans will be eligible for a lot of back pay. That's because VA rules say that you get retroactive compensation all the way back to the date that that claim was originally filed, and for some of these claims, that is almost 10 years. Now, I have filed a lot of VA claims in my time, and it can take a while for them to be decided. Our last dependency claim took 3 years, and it wasn't even lost. It just took forever to get processed. I cannot imagine how frustrating this must be for the veterans whose claims were lost. In Florida, veterans in the Tampa area are also waiting for more than 47,000 pending travel pay claims to be processed. The VA upgraded to a newer and better system, but it hasn't been working properly. So some veterans are still waiting on payments that were due back in July. Hopefully those payments will be happening soon because local news outlets have gotten involved. Now, just as a side note, if you have been denied Social Security or VA benefits, our sponsor may be able to help you fight back. You just need to go to lowincomerelief.com/claims, scroll to the injury and disability category, and click wrongfully denied or refused disability to get started with that. Now, speaking of the VA, I've already told you about how that agency is trying to get money back from veterans that apparently got too much money from their pensions. The IRS is also clawing back money, this time from businesses who received the Employee Retention Credit. About 20,000 taxpayers and entities received ERC money when they should not have. Sometimes the businesses that claimed this credit didn't even exist. I know there were a lot of scam calls going on about this because I got a billion of them. So if you were somehow tricked into filing an application with the IRS on this, they will allow you to withdraw it, but you need to act fast. Now let's get into those giveaways that I told you about earlier. We do have a lot. Many transit systems are providing free fares and free transportation around the country for the rest of the year. I can't list them all here because it's happening all over the place, but you can check our website or call your local transit authority for details. In California, the Carson Library in Los Angeles is going to be giving away laptops on December 21st. These are available on a first-come, first-served basis, so you need to show up early. In Connecticut, Danbury Community Center will provide free swimming lessons for kids age 17 and under who receive SNAP benefits. This is expected to help around 700 children every year. In New Hampshire, students will soon have access to 24/7 online tutoring from tutor.com. This new plan will cover all students who are in 4th grade or higher, regardless of whether they attend public, private, or homeschool. Adults in high school equivalency programs will also be eligible. In Maryland, Montgomery County is accepting applications for their Rec Assist program. This program provides a $400 voucher that you can use for recreational programs and activities. You may be eligible if you get SNAP, WIC, SSI, energy assistance, or other forms of help. These vouchers are available on a first-come, first-served basis, so please apply right away. In Utah, there's a place called Karma Cafe in Tooele that has made the news recently. They have a pay-it-forward meal program, so customers can go in and pay for extra meals, and then people who can't afford them can come in and redeem those receipts for a meal. It's pretty cool. There are also a ton of Christmas giveaways happening. Most of the big programs require advance registration, but many smaller ones don't. There are a lot of free toy stores and giveaways that operate on a first-come, first-served basis. I've been adding as many as I possibly can to our weekly recap on our website, so be sure to check that out at lowincomerelief.com. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching. I will see you again soon, and I hope you have a great